the majority, and I will send you
So
the service that you want.
You're not generalizing just the majority. Okay, that's great.
Well, yes, again, English is not my first language. I apologize if that sounded wrong.
I want to touch on a point that you kind of hinted at there. The ones that are the sort of the hate filled ones, the ones that say the awful things about women and have those kind of views. What do you do as the administrator of that forum? Do you have any protocols, any rules that you follow to actively kind of kick those people out, or how do you interact with that particular subset of the incels?
If you're talking about how we deal with hatred, as I said, one of the 2 points in terms of goals for the site is one, to be very pro free speech, which means that as long as a person is simply stating their mind and not trying to harm anyone or themselves, or not doing any harm to people, they can state whatever they want, and I very much like that. And it doesn't have to do with incels. This is just my ideology, which I apply to the forum, which, for example, Reddit is one of the places that shut us down because we did not follow politically correct speech guidelines. Actually, the subreddit R Incels have been open for years, I believe, at least 2 years perhaps, and it had always followed the rules, and it only got banned because at some point it becomes so notorious that Reddit said, this community is giving us a bad PR, so let's just shut it down and say that they were incited violence or something. So they shut us down. And I thought, let's try to make a community that actually allows free speech without censorship or without worrying about how other people are going to view us. Therefore, as long as the person is simply stating their mind, they can talk. Yes?
Out of curiosity, has anyone who's been a mass shooter been a member of your forum?
No, never. In fact, out of the shooters, I believe... well, let me just state it. Let's talk about the shooters just for a second. I don't know the names of everyone, but for example, Elliot Rogers. I'm sure that's I'm sure there's a Latin word for to go to the.
Isn't he called?
Whatever.
Isn't he
Doesn't
called
matter.
the distinguished? Isn't he called the distinguished gentleman in your circles?
The supreme gentleman. Careful.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you for the correction.
Whoa. The what?
The supreme gentleman.
He called himself.
Okay.
Yeah, he called himself the supreme gentleman because I suppose his personality was so amazing that he was a true gentleman. At least that's what he said, right? I didn't know him. I just want to make the point that Elliot wasn't an incel because one, he was. I mean, you tell me, but I think he was kind of attractive for a man, and handsome, not attractive, and as far. I actually read his manifesto just because, everyone mentions him when talking about incels, and he actually never approached the girl, so he doesn't even fit the definition of incel. He's not involuntarily. If you don't approach, how do you know you're going to reject you? So he's not an incel. Actually, he just went on some bodybuilding forums or something like that, and then the media.
But wait, didn't you say that it was? Didn't you say that an incel is anyone who's ever had a tough time getting in a relationship? And even in your own forums, people who are in relationships can still say as long as they don't talk about it. So I don't think that your definition of incel actually maps onto the definition you're applying here.
No.
You're saying he's too good looking to be an incel, but isn't incel a perception of yourself? And if you feel like you haven't gotten sex or a relationship, you are incel because you're involuntarily celibate. So he could have been incel by your definition.
No, because his manifesto spans many years, and in those many years, he never once talked about approaching a single girl. If he never approaches, how can it be involuntarily? Second, the fact that we allow black pill people doesn't mean that these black pill people are incels. In fact, they're not. So even though we're an incel forum, we allow people that are not incels. If these people are violent or terroristic, it has nothing to do with incels. I mean, of course, we're going to ban them if they are, but So, I mean, if you're trying to imply that perhaps we have Elliot Rogers on the forums,
I asked because I didn't know. I said I framed it as I didn't know. I was just asking because I didn't know. That's why I asked.
Right.
It was a question.
So, why is it that somebody like Elliot Rodgers is sort of categorized as an incel? What is it about the? I guess what I'm trying to get is, what is it about the community that has gotten this sort of dark and almost dangerous vibe to it? Because that's how it's portrayed in the in the media and what,
right.
So why is that? Well, why is that?
Well, the answer is very simple. The answer is very simple. It's that, of course, I'm sure that all that I've said about incels, or at least the majority of things that I've said about incels, most people didn't know, right? Well, the answer then is very simple. Media simply tries to, it's very sensationalistic. What sells more? Talking about the black pill and ugly guys who can't get laid, or talking about a mass shooter who killed people who belongs to this toxic community of incels? I'm sure you know the answer. So, for every single terroristic act where the guy has been, where the guy has hated women, he has been labeled incel, even though they never used the word incel. Like, I believe Elliot Rodgers not once used the word incel. So he doesn't fit the definition. He never approached girl. He's quite handsome. He never used the word, and yet he's like the beginning of all incels. Of course, it makes no sense. And I'm sure you can check for the facts yourself. I don't want to say that this is like this, but from what I remember,
so why does he have so much respect why does he have so much respect in the community then?
No, he doesn't. It actually gets mentioned so much because the media has pushed it onto us. If everyone comes along and says that your community started because of a mass shooter, of course the mass shooter is going to be a part of the topic intrinsically of your community, right? Because other people have defined it as such. We don't respect. Why would I respect a person who killed people? That doesn't make any sense. We use him as a
I guess
meme.
calling him the supreme gentleman. I guess calling him the supreme gentleman and referring to them. Yeah, it sounds pretty bad, doesn't it?
Sound? Yeah, no, it sounds pretty stupid. I mean, supreme gentleman, really? I mean, you think we really praise someone who?
People praise Dylan too, when they're about to shoot people. So
Is he held in any high esteem or regard in the community?
I'm sorry.
I have to ask: is he actually held in any high esteem or regard in the community, in the incel community? What does his name keep coming up in the incel communities?
As I said, because everyone seems bent on pushing it onto us. I mean, as I said, I go to college, I have work. I'm sure you don't imagine. I don't know. You tell me, because it sells newspapers, I guess. Because feminists like to push the name onto us. Yeah, that's exactly
it's
what
nothing that they embrace, but it nonetheless gets pushed in their direction. Would that be fair to summarize your?
Yeah, very much. As I said, the guy is not even incel. Why is he with us? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a what?
But of course, I mean, are you speaking directly from knowledge of what you've seen on the forums? Because I know I've seen, again, I would encourage people to go and check out the ContraPoints thing. If we go back to the idea of amending not being attractive or something, one of the things that Natalie said in the video was that sometimes in the incel forums, they will post pictures and then everybody will tell them how ugly they are. And she said, they just look like normal guys. And so I think
I'm sorry, but
the negative reinforcement of the fact that you can't get laid in the black pill sort of sense isn't very good for men. I think it's not a good environment, healthy environment for men.
Doctor, yes, I'm really sorry, but you're telling me that you get your facts from this person from YouTube that is a girl who isn't even allowed in our forums. I've been with the community for years. I'm literally the creator. I'm not an authority in the supreme authority or anything, just to use the word supreme again. But I suppose that I know more than you. So, when you say that hatred is embedded on the forum, and I tell you that it is not, I would like you to believe
me. But we can't check that.
Right,
but we can't check that. So that's a pretty big claim to ask us to accept.
I'm not comfortable pushing the Elliot Rodgers narrative on them as a whole when he's just disavowed it. I think that's we should take him at his word. Sure, yeah, I understand. But I think we should just take it. Now, here's a question that I had, and I hope that this doesn't come across as I don't want to come across as crass or like like it's sarcastic or any way, but if your primary motive as an incel is to have a sexual experience relationships, are there people who are considering like paying for it? Like, would that be an option?
Oh, right. Are you saying whether right? So paying for sex?
Yeah. Would that be a viable?
Right. So, well, if you wanted sex, then of course going to a sex worker would be the obvious answer. However, Inceldom has little to do with sex. It's not about wanting sex. It's about wanting validation, love, having a real relationship with care and affection. So, I mean, if it was about sex, I would go right now to a sex worker and just get rid of the Inceldom today. But it's not.
Sure. Well, I think it's a good that we brought that up, because I think there may be some people out there who think that it's based on a sexual. Like I said a second ago, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Do you have? I know that maybe I'm sure you have several questions that you would like to ask somebody who is more on the feminist side from your standpoint, or to try to understand, that side better. Or is anything come to mind that you'd like to, while you have the opportunity here, to ask Dr. Winters?
Well, in all sincerity, I don't believe that anything the doctor can say will bring any illumination, to my side of how I view things. I've had my fair share of emails and messages on pretty much all contact points of people who have called us all amount of names, and I've had to explain painstakingly every single time why, just like we have had today, right? I've had to explain all of this over and over, and so I've had more than enough time to recheck my arguments and understand whether I'm wrong or right. And for the most part, I believe that I'm very sound in the arguments that I give. But sure. Well, doctor, more than anything, I would like to ask you, where do you get your facts? Like, you have these preconceptions about incels that have nothing to do, it seems, the red pill, the blue pill, you seem to tie it all very much to hatred of towards women. And it has not, I mean, I have female friends, and they're actually female incels. Femcels is a subreddit on Reddit. So, if Inceldom is about hating women, then why are there girls who are incels that, do they hate girls too? But my question was rather, where do you get your facts regarding incels?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do tonight was ask you questions about that, because I came and asked you quite a lot of questions because I wanted to learn more about the topic. So I get information from the news. I look at posts and information that comes out, and so I guess by reading the media. So and of course I have the opportunity the opportunity to talk to you tonight. So
right. So, but
that's where I get my information from.
Right, but aren't you basically saying that you take your information about incels from the media instead of going to our incel mains? The biggest incel site and checking the actual.
I can't join you.
Of course you can. You can't register, but our 100% of our posts are visible. I don't understand why you need to register to read the posts. I mean, it's literally on the top, the navigation bar.
I'm not sure why you're yelling at me when I've just spent the last hour asking you questions.
Well, I apologize if it sounds like I'm yelling. I'm certainly not. What I'm trying to say is that if you are so bent on being critical about this, why do you go to mainstream media and perhaps not so mainstream media, mostly sensationalistic media, to get information about incels, when you have the contact form that goes directly to an incel on our forum, where you have, Well,
this is why, again, I availed myself. It's why I availed myself of the opportunity to ask you questions. So I think that's been asked and answered twice now.
Yes, but you keep saying that. But yet, why did you need to wait until you were on a live audio stream with me instead of going to a comprehensible bullet point question and answer thing on our forum? Did you not think of that?
I don't think that. I understand the sentiment, but I don't think that this line of questions is going to lead anywhere that's going to, end well or
be productive.
Of course.
My apologies.
So, I think you've made your point, and we can move on to the to a next one if you'd like.